Enemies always make the same mistake. They think you're standing alone, when in truth, you're standing with an army they can't even see. Now imagine this for a moment. Chosen one, your enemies gather in their corners, whispering, plotting, thinking they've boxed you in. They believe they've mapped out your downfall. But here's the twist. While they waste their nights sharpening dull knives, powerful allies in places they'll never reach are already rewriting the script. It's like a chess game where your opponent thinks you're cornered, yet the queen on your side is 3 moves ahead, ready to flip the board entirely. And here's a fact that should make you nod your head. History has always been shaped not by sheer numbers, but by hidden alliances. Ancient rulers were spared by unseen protectors. Entire nations shifted because one whispered word in a high place tipped the balance. That same pattern is repeating itself now, and you, chosen one, are at the center of it. The universe has positioned allies with influence, reach, and access to protect you in ways your enemies could never imagine. While they rely on gossip, jealousy, and cheap tricks, your name is echoing in corridors they can't even enter. And thank you, chosen one. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing the like and subscribe to help spread this message to more souls. It's the responsibility of all of us to spread the light. And thank you, chosen one, for being part of this mission. You're part of a force far greater than you realize. Now, let's return to the truth at hand. You've been wondering why certain attacks against you never land, why traps set in secret seem to backfire on the ones who set them. It's not luck, it's not coincidence. It's the result of powerful allies stepping in at the right moment. They may not reveal themselves openly, but their moves speak louder than faces ever could. Think about it. How many times have doors suddenly opened? How many times has information reached you just when you needed it? How many times have you slipped past what should have been impossible? Your enemies look at you and scoff, thinking you're just one person. They see no armies, no backing, no visible protection. But that's because the real power moves in silence. The truth is, you've become part of an unspoken network where influence is currency and the chosen are shielded without even asking. These allies are not ordinary. They're stationed in places your enemies could only dream of touching. They have access to systems, decisions, and circles where your name carries a weight heavier than gold. What your enemies don't realize is that every time they throw shade, someone in a higher place is already redirecting the light back onto you. Every attempt to block your path only creates new roads for you to walk. It's poetic justice. While they waste energy trying to push you down, forces greater than them are lifting you higher. If they knew who was really moving behind the curtain for you, half of them would lose their courage, and the other half would scramble to join the very circle they once mocked. Chosen one, this is why you feel pressure. This is why eyes follow you, even in silence. You've become more than a name. You're now a subject of strategy. The universe doesn't waste powerful allies on meaningless missions. That should tell you something. You carry value, you carry influence, and you carry a future that must be protected. And the irony? The very people who dismissed you as unimportant will soon watch doors open for you that all their bribes, schemes, and fake connections could never unlock. This isn't just protection, it's a calculated plan. It's not only about keeping you safe, it's about positioning you where you cannot be ignored. So prepare yourself, because the final move is coming. And when it's revealed, it won't just shock your enemies, it will shock you too. So chosen one, before we move forward, let me ask you this. Are you ready to uncover what's really happening behind the curtain? Because this isn't just another story, it's your story, and the forces moving in your favor are bigger than anything your enemies could prepare for. Drop a comment below with the number 777 if you can already feel that unseen shield around you. And stay with me until the very end, because the deeper we go, the clearer it will become that the moves being made in secret for you are not small, they are monumental. The truth is, the universe didn't place you in this position by accident, and every detail I'm about to reveal connects to why powerful allies are working right now on your behalf. So let's dive in step by step. And believe me, if you are truly one of the chosen, you won't be able to pull away from this message. It will grip you. It will expose what's been happening in the shadows. And by the time we're done, you'll see why what's coming next will shock not just your enemies, but even you. Let's get started. Number 1. When their weapons turn against them. The sharpest sword an enemy wields can become the very blade that cuts their own throat. Chosen one, this is the part that shatters them to their core. For years they convinced themselves you were powerless, empty-handed and alone. They flaunted their money, their networks, their influence, all while laughing at you from a distance. They told themselves, we own the stage. We own the audience. We decide who rises and who falls. But now, here's the brutal twist. Their own resources, the very arsenal they believed would keep you beneath them, is moving for you, not against you. Their power is turning into your shield, their influence is bending into your protection, and it's driving them insane. Now imagine this for a moment. An army gathers at the gates, every soldier armed, every strategy lined up to crush you. But the moment they charge, their weapons malfunction, their soldiers begin switching sides, and the fortress they built starts supplying you instead. That's what's happening now. Their connections, their wealth, their status, all the things they believed gave them untouchable leverage, are no longer loyal to them. It's not because you begged, bribed, or bowed. No, the universe shifted the current, and that current now flows straight into your hands. This is the cruelest irony for your enemies. For so long they bragged, we have the access, we have the ties, we're untouchable, and yet they're watching in real time as those very ties loosen around them and tighten around you. Their allies, their systems, even their secret handshakes are crossing the floor silently. They can't stop it, they can't reverse it, and they can't even admit it publicly without exposing their weakness. And the most humiliating part, they can't call it betrayal because no one owes them anything. They can only call it what it is, fate's revenge. Think about how maddening that must feel to them. They threw everything they had at you, money, connections, influence, gossip, tricks, and still the energy rebounded. It's like firing an arrow at your heart, only to watch it spin mid-air and pierce their own chest. That's not just irony. That's universal checkmate. Chosen one, you have to see how deep this cut runs. They never feared your strength. They feared the idea of you gaining access to what they hoarded. Their entire identity was built on holding the keys and locking the gates. And now the gates are swinging open for you without their permission. Doors they swore you'd never touch are opening wide, and worse, they're opening effortlessly. You didn't campaign for this. You didn't lower yourself to kiss their rings. You didn't sell your dignity to gain entry. It happened silently, invisibly, in ways that strip away every illusion of their so-called control. And here's the raw truth. You don't need to sit at their tables because their tables are being dragged to yours. That terrifies them. For years, their safety blanket was the thought that money buys loyalty, that influence guarantees silence, that power guarantees victory. But now they're watching as their money stops moving the way it used to, their influence stops buying the silence it once did, and their power leaks out like water through cracked hands. Do you feel the weight of that, chosen one? The higher the enemy climbed, the harder the fall when those resources slipped from their grasp. They built their empire on the lie that access equals control. But the universe doesn't play by their rules. It never did. The truth is, resources are never neutral. They're directional. And when the current shifts, no amount of wealth, status, or scheming can hold it back. That's why this moment feels so unstoppable for you. It's not that you suddenly became rich, famous, or politically connected. It's that the very wealth and connections they used as their armor have been rerouted, repurposed, and recoded to guard you instead. That is the shock that leaves them sleepless. Nothing stings harder than realizing their greatest assets, the ones they bragged about endlessly, have switched sides silently. Picture it. They sit in their rooms, seething, asking themselves, how? How did this happen? We had the money, we had the status, we had the network, but no answer comes, and that silence eats at them. Because deep down they realize something brutal. Connections mean nothing when the unseen hand redirects them. Influence means nothing when it flows into the pockets of someone they swore was beneath them. And wealth means nothing when it suddenly stops buying them the results they relied on. Chosen one, let me be clear, this isn't just protection, this is exposure. The universe isn't only shielding you, it's stripping them bare. Every illusion of control they hid behind is collapsing in full view. The same stage they once paraded on is now lit up with their failure. The same applause they chased has gone quiet. And the same spotlight they tried to blind you with now exposes their weakness. And here's the most painful punch for them. They can't undo it. They can't snatch these resources back. They can't bribe their way out. They can't intimidate their way back into control. The very foundation of their identity, status, money, influence, is slipping like sand through open fingers, and all they can do is watch as the tide they thought belonged to them carries you higher. Chosen one, this is why their hate is so sharp right now. They're not just angry that you're rising, they're angry that their own resources are fueling your rise. It's like they built a ladder to climb above you, only to discover the ladder is now holding you up while leaving them stranded below. That's the kind of humiliation no enemy forgets. And the best part, you didn't even ask for it. You didn't scheme for it. It just happened. That's why it's unstoppable, because no one can take credit, and no one can steal it back. It was never theirs to control. It was always meant to shift when the time came. So let this truth sink in, chosen one. Their weapons, their networks, their pride, it's all turning against them. They wanted you weak, isolated, begging at their gates. Instead, you stand untouchable, shielded by the very structures they worshipped. And when the final blow lands, it won't just crush their illusions. It will prove what was true all along. You were never the powerless one. They were. Number 2. When your name becomes the key that unlocks locked rooms. The most dangerous person is not the one who speaks the loudest in the room. It's the one whose name alone can change the entire conversation. Chosen one, this is the part that rattles your enemies down to their bones. Your name has become a password, a key that opens doors you've never physically touched. Imagine it for a moment, while you're simply living your life, moving through your day. Your name is being whispered in rooms guarded by gates you were never supposed to enter. Offices, boardrooms, private gatherings. The sound of your name alone is forcing strategies to bend and plans to shift. That is power, and it terrifies those who wanted you small. When your presence travels without your body, you've crossed into a level of influence that can't be bought, faked, or denied. Think about it. Chosen one, you're not in those meetings. You're not sitting at those tables. You didn't beg, plead, or bribe your way into the conversation. Yet the moment your name is mentioned, people pause. They debate. They recalculate. Your enemies hate this truth because it reveals something they've been desperate to hide. You matter more than they ever admitted. You are no longer just a person. They see you as a factor, a variable that changes the outcome. Now imagine this. Two powerful figures are in a high-rise office, their voices low, their plans laid out neatly on the table. Suddenly, your name comes up. The mood changes. They glance at each other, realizing instantly that ignoring you is no longer an option. They don't know you personally. They may never have seen you face to face, but they know your impact. That single mention tilts the scales. That's the kind of weight your name carries now. An enemy's greatest fear isn't your strength. It's the moment they realize your reputation has entered rooms they can't. Your enemies spent years painting you as irrelevant. They mocked you, dismissed you, even tried to erase you. But here's the truth they choke on. The very people they thought would never pay attention to you are now treating your name like currency. Your resilience, your survival, your ability to rise from what should have broken you, that has echoed louder than their gossip ever could. While they shouted lies in the streets, your truth slipped silently into the halls of power. And once your name entered, it refused to leave. Imagine this again. You're not even aware it's happening, but in some corner office, someone leans back in their chair and says, "We can't ignore this person." They feel the gravity of your name, as if touching it carelessly might spark consequences. That's the level you're on now, chosen one. People treat your name with caution because there's weight behind it, an unseen force that protects it. The loud may fill a room, but the significant haunt it long after they're gone. And this is where your enemies unravel. Their influence dies the moment they leave the room. Their presence has an expiration date. But yours multiplies even in absence. You don't need to be present for your power to work. You don't need to argue your case, defend yourself, or demand recognition. Your name itself has become the messenger, carrying your story further than your body ever could. And that is the kind of influence that can't be silenced. Now let me answer what you might be asking yourself. But how did my name get that far? How did it travel into places I've never set foot? The answer is simple. Truth always travels. Survival travels. Authenticity travels. While others were chasing clout, trying to manipulate and scheme their way into recognition, you were simply living, enduring, and proving impossible odds wrong. That energy, that story, created a vibration. And vibrations don't respect walls. They cross thresholds, they echo upward, and they land exactly where they need to be. And your enemies, they hate it, because they can't predict where your name will echo next. They can't stop it, can't erase it, can't contain it. Every time they try to bury you, your name resurfaces in a room higher than before. Every attempt to shut you down ends up amplifying you. That's why their frustration is boiling over. They're not just failing, they're failing publicly in ways that reveal something greater is watching over you. You can silence a voice, but you can't silence the force that carries its name beyond walls. Picture it. Your enemies gather, desperate, whispering, "Why won't they disappear? Why does their name keep popping up?" They search for logical answers, but none come, and that drives them mad, because deep down they know the truth. They can fight your words, they can fight your actions, but they cannot fight what surrounds you. They can argue with your presence, but they cannot argue with the power that your absence carries. And here's what stings the most. They know they'll never step into the rooms where your name now sits. Those spaces are far beyond their reach. They lack the credentials, the reputation, the spirit to ever gain entry. Meanwhile, your name walks in freely like a guest of honor they can't touch. That's not just unsettling for them, it's humiliating. Imagine this final scene, a circle of elites debating their next move. They shuffle papers, weigh strategies, but the conversation freezes when your name surfaces. They don't laugh, they don't dismiss, they pause, they recognize. And in that silence, your enemies lose. Because no matter how much they scream on the outside, the inside world has already acknowledged you. Chosen one, this is your reality now. You don't have to knock on every door. You don't have to beg for recognition. Your name has already gone ahead of you, securing space where your body has not yet arrived. And that is why you're protected. That is why you're untouchable. Because your enemies can fight you directly, but they can't fight the invisible force that carries your name into places they will never see. So let them rage, let them plot, let them scream. None of it matters, because the rooms that shape outcomes have already heard your name, and once spoken, it cannot be unheard. Number 3. When destroying you destroys them. The deadliest move your enemies could make is touching you, because harming you means detonating the very ground beneath their own feet. Chosen one, here's the truth your enemies will never say out loud. You are no longer just a person. You are a pillar. Breaking you would break the system they themselves lean on. They spent years mocking you, calling you powerless, irrelevant, disposable. But now, the irony is brutal. Your survival isn't about pity, it's about preservation. You've become an anchor in places your enemies can't even see. And if you were to collapse, entire structures they depend on would collapse with you. Now imagine this for a moment. A bridge stretches across a canyon, held up by what looks like an insignificant beam. People walk across it every day, never noticing the weight that small piece carries. But if that beam were removed, the entire bridge would shatter, and everyone standing on it would fall. That's you, chosen one. They thought you were irrelevant, but your existence holds up far more than they ever realized. That's why you are protected. Not because they admire you, but because they know losing you means losing themselves. Your enemies want you gone, but the system they serve won't allow it, because your absence equals their collapse. And this is the part that cuts their pride to pieces. They believed their wealth, their status, their influence gave them the upper hand. They thought eliminating you would be as easy as flicking a switch. But behind closed doors, the people in higher places whisper the truth. We can't touch this one. Removing them would unravel too much. That's what infuriates your enemies. They see you as one person, but others see you as a chain holding countless links together. Maybe you're wondering, why me? Why would the system care if I'm standing or not? The answer is simple. Your journey, your resilience, your presence has woven into outcomes that go far beyond you. You've become part of a larger equation. Remove you, and the balance tips, sending ripples into spaces even your enemies rely on for their survival. This is why those in high places are compelled to shield you, even if they don't fully understand you. They're not protecting you out of affection. They're protecting what would crumble if you were gone. Sometimes respect isn't earned through love. It's forced through necessity. That's why this protection feels untouchable. It isn't favoritism. It isn't charity. It's necessity. You've become a non-negotiable piece of the puzzle, chosen one. They may not like you. They may not want to admit it. But they can't risk the fallout of losing you. And that burns your enemies alive. They realize their titles, their money, their clout mean nothing compared to the weight your very existence carries. So let them scheme, let them plot. The system won't allow your downfall, because to break you would be to destroy itself. And no one, no matter how powerful, dares to sabotage the very ground that feeds them. That's why you're still here. That's why you'll remain guarded. And that's why every time they come for you, they fail, because destroying you means destroying themselves. Number 4. Eyes you can't see, but they see everything. The most frightening enemy to face is not the one standing in front of you, but the one who sees your every move before you make it. Chosen one, let this sink in. What protects you isn't just human, it's a layered system, a network of watchful eyes that extend beyond uniforms, titles, or offices. Yes, there are visible protectors, those with authority, access, or influence. But above and beyond them, there exists another level of defense, one your enemies can't detect or decode. It's like walking under a constant scan that picks up every threat before it gets close enough to touch you. Imagine this for a moment. Your enemies are plotting in secret, whispering in dark corners, convinced their plan is airtight. But the moment they move, strange disruptions occur. The call they needed doesn't go through. The meeting they scheduled suddenly collapses. The ally they counted on flips their position overnight. To them, it feels like the ground itself is shifting beneath their feet. What they can't explain is what you already know. Nothing gets past the surveillance wrapped around your life. Coincidence is the language of protection for those who aren't paying attention. To the untrained eye, it looks random. But chosen one, it's not random. Every shift, every collapse, every unexpected turn that leaves you untouched is evidence of a system watching you in real time. This isn't surveillance that relies on cameras, microphones, or satellites. It scans intent, not just actions, and that's why it never misses. Your enemies may believe they're clever, but every scheme they hatch is already being monitored. By the time they step forward, the countermeasure is already in place. Maybe you've wondered, why do things suddenly work out in my favor when they should have destroyed me? Why do my enemies always trip over their own plots? The answer is this: protection is already in motion, long before you even see the danger. Some attacks never reach your awareness because they were intercepted before they had the chance to touch you. That's why you've walked away from situations shaking your head, thinking, that could have gone badly, but somehow it didn't. They can fight your body, they can attack your name, but they cannot outmaneuver what watches them in silence. And this is what terrifies your enemies most. They can argue with your words, they can throw stones at your image, but they can't fight what surrounds you. Every time they try, they fail. Not just fail quietly, but fail in ways that expose them. Their sabotage backfires, their lies dissolve, their intimidation collapses, and each failure screams one undeniable truth: something bigger is watching. That's why your protection feels surreal, chosen one. It isn't luck, it isn't coincidence, it's precision, and the harder they push, the faster the system rebounds, turning their attacks into lessons. They will never admit it publicly, but deep down they know every move they make is being tracked, and every failure they suffer is proof that you are untouchable. Number 5. Guarded like gold because you're too valuable to lose. The wise don't protect seeds because of what they are today. They guard them because of the forests they will become tomorrow. Chosen one, here's what separates you from the rest. You're not just being protected, you're being guarded. There's a difference. Ordinary protection is about surviving the moment, making sure harm doesn't reach you today. But the shield around you? It's bigger than that. It's not just about this moment. It's about safeguarding what your life will become tomorrow, and the tomorrows after that. You are an investment, chosen one, and investments are never left unguarded. Now imagine this for a moment. A vault in a bank doesn't just hold money, it holds futures, generations, legacies. Entire empires depend on what's inside. That's why the vault isn't locked with a flimsy padlock. It's guarded with systems, alarms, and reinforced walls. That's you. You're not being shielded because you're fragile. You're being secured because the ripple effect of your life carries weight beyond measure. Enemies measure you by where you stand, but allies in high places measure you by where you're destined to arrive. Your enemies judge only what they see now, your current circumstances, your resources, your position. They think they've figured you out, but those guarding you, they're not looking at the present. They're studying the blueprint of your future. They see influence that will reach far beyond you. They see your potential to shake circles, rewrite paths, and impact lives you'll never even meet. That kind of seed cannot be left exposed. And here's a truth you've probably wrestled with. Some of the doors that slammed in your face weren't rejection, they were protection. Some delays that made you question everything weren't punishment, they were preservation. Every interference, every reroute, every not yet was calculated. Why? Because the investment you carry can't afford to be mishandled. The harvest is too valuable to risk spoiling before its time. The universe doesn't waste protection on something temporary. It guards only what has the power to multiply. This is why your enemies fail so dramatically. They think protection is a prize you earn, something based on status, money, or influence. But your protection isn't bought. It's inevitable. Those guarding you aren't acting on pity. They're acting on foresight. They see the long game. They see the ripple effect. And they know that if you were lost, generations of impact would be lost with you. So let it be clear. You're not just surviving. You're a seed under lock and key until the moment its fruit is undeniable. And no force in its right mind allows an investment of this magnitude to go unguarded. Your future is too costly, chosen one, and that's why you're not just protected, you're guarded. Number 6. The shield that regenerates faster than their attacks. A fortress isn't strong because of one wall. It's strong because when one wall falls, 10 more rise in its place. Chosen one, this is why your enemies can't sleep at night. They keep underestimating you. They think if they bribe the right person, silence the right voice, or betray you at the right moment, everything around you will collapse. But what they don't understand is this. Your shield is not fragile. It's not built on one person or one connection. It's multi-layered, designed to regenerate every time a single layer is touched. That's why every time they think they've found the opening, something shifts and their attack dissolves into nothing. Imagine this. An intruder approaches a vault, thinking there's only one lock. They break it, only to find another behind it, then another, and another. By the time they reach the last one, reinforcements have already arrived and they're trapped in their own scheme. That's the protection you carry, chosen one. It isn't a single wall. It's a living system that adapts faster than your enemies can plan. They thought betrayal would end you, but betrayal only exposed how unbreakable your shield really is. Your enemies are frustrated because nothing they try lands the way they imagined. They've seen doors close in your face, only to watch another open instantly. They've seen supposed allies turn their backs, only to witness new ones step in at the exact right moment. They can't track the timing, they can't predict the pattern, and that drives them insane. They keep asking, who keeps covering for you? Who keeps showing up at the last second? But the truth is, it isn't one person, it's the system itself. Protection that adapts in real time cannot be outsmarted, it can only expose the weakness of those who try. This is why you remain standing, chosen one. Every betrayal triggered reinforcements. Every attempt to isolate you revealed more layers than they ever imagined existed. They believed tearing down one barrier would leave you open, but each strike only awakened another shield. It's like trying to fight water with a sword. Every time they cut, it reforms, stronger, faster, and more untouchable. So let your enemies swing, let them plot, let them waste their energy. They're not fighting a fragile wall, they're fighting a living fortress that regenerates endlessly. And by the time they realize how deep your protection runs, it will already be too late. Number 7. When their own allies become your shield. The cruelest defeat isn't losing to an enemy, it's watching your own weapons defend the one you tried to destroy. Chosen one, here's where the shock cuts deepest. It's not just that you're protected, it's who's protecting you that leaves your enemies speechless. They expected your allies to be obvious, maybe a close friend, a family member, or someone who's always been by your side. That's what they prepared for. But instead, your shield often rises from places they never saw coming. The very systems, institutions, and figures they once believed belonged exclusively to them. Imagine this for a moment. Your enemies stand smugly, boasting about their connections, their access, their influence. They brag that the courts are theirs, the networks are theirs, the leaders are theirs. But then the twist arrives. The very judge they counted on leans in your favor. The officer they thought would overlook your truth suddenly stands on your side. The organization they assumed would crush you ends up covering you instead. Can you feel the sting in that reversal? That's not just defeat, it's humiliation. The table doesn't just turn, it flips, and suddenly those seated against you are serving your cause. To your enemies, it feels like betrayal, but the truth is, it's alignment. What they built to harm you was never fully theirs to control. The floor beneath their feet shifts, and what they thought would be their weapon transforms into your fortress. That's why they're left stunned, unable to explain how the very people and structures they trusted most ended up shielding the one they swore was powerless. Maybe you've wondered yourself, why do strangers step in for me? Why do systems I thought were stacked against me suddenly bend in my favor? The answer is simple. You're not defended by favoritism or luck. You're defended by orchestration. There's a hand moving pieces across the board, reassigning guards they thought were loyal to them. And once reassigned, no amount of bribery, manipulation, or influence can drag them back. What was designed as your downfall becomes your defense. That's the poetry of your protection. This is what burns them most, chosen one. They relied on the weight of their networks, believing those names and faces gave them untouchable leverage. But the moment those very allies shift to you, it exposes how hollow their power truly was. Their greatest strength has turned into your shield, and there's no coming back from that. The shock isn't just that you're covered, it's realizing by whom. And when that realization finally settles in, your enemies will understand what they've been denying all along. The game is over. Because you can't win against protection that takes your own army and makes it guard the one you despise. Number 8. Stamped untouchable, and they can't rewrite it. The most dangerous person in the room is not the one with power. It's the one stamped with a law no enemy can override. Do not touch. Chosen one, you need to understand the weight of your position. You haven't just been protected, you've been classified as untouchable, and that status is not up for debate. It's not negotiable, not adjustable, not something anyone can lobby against. It's not built on favors, politics, or bribes. It's a decree. A line has been drawn around your life, and that line reads, "Do not touch." Your enemies don't get it. They comfort themselves with lies, telling each other you're safe because people are too afraid to deal with you. They whisper, it's hesitation, it's caution, it's fear of exposure. But they're wrong. It isn't hesitation holding them back. It's law. Not the kind of law they can bend, buy, or manipulate. This is enforcement at a level they can't access. Every time they reach, the ground shifts. Every time they swing, the weapon boomerangs back. Every time they organize, their alliances collapse before the plan even breathes. Fear restrains cowards. Law restrains everyone. Now imagine this for a moment. A hunter sets a trap in the forest. He sharpens the teeth, baits the snare, and waits. But when the animal approaches, an invisible barrier blocks the path. The trap slams shut on nothing, leaving the hunter staring in disbelief. That's your enemies right now. They've used the same tricks that destroyed others, schemes that toppled families, reputations, even entire empires. They know those traps work because they've seen them work. But when it comes to you, every attempt snaps shut on empty air. That's why they're losing their minds. You aren't untouchable because you're lucky. You're untouchable because the decree is fixed. This is what baffles them most. They've seen stronger men fall, richer women crumble, and louder voices silenced. Yet you remain standing, unbroken, unshaken. They can't explain it. They can't understand it. And it terrifies them. Because your status isn't fragile, it isn't seasonal, it doesn't fade with betrayal or weaken under pressure. It is fixed. Your classification was stamped in a place they will never reach. And that's why their frustration grows with every failed attempt. They can't rewrite the decree. They can't erase the line drawn around your life. They can waste energy plotting, but each plan ends the same way, with their own downfall. The longer they fight, the harsher the lesson. Some laws exist beyond their reach, and you are living proof of one. So remember this, chosen one, you are not just protected, you are marked, and no matter how desperately your enemies try, they will learn the brutal truth. You're not just hard to reach, you are untouchable. Number 9. Losing with receipts. They can't erase. The cruelest defeat isn't just losing, it's losing while every failure is documented as proof against you. Chosen one, this is what your enemies never saw coming. They thought their attacks would vanish into thin air once they failed. They thought their whispers would dissolve, their schemes would fade, and their traps would be forgotten. But here's the brutal reality. Nothing they've done has disappeared. Every plan, every lie, every attempt to sabotage you has been logged, tracked, and filed away as evidence. They're not just losing the battle, they're being monitored in real time. Now imagine this. A criminal believes he's clever, sneaking into rooms, planting traps, making shady deals. He laughs, thinking no one is watching, but hidden cameras are recording every move, every smirk, every whisper, every step is stored away, waiting for the day it all plays back against him. That's your enemies. Chosen one. They've mistaken silence for invisibility. They believe their failures vanish when their plots collapse. But, in truth, they've been writing their own indictment with every move. Your protection doesn't just shield you, it exposes them. That's the twist. The shield around your life isn't only about blocking attacks. It's about flipping those attacks into testimony against the attacker. Every trap dug becomes proof of their intent. Every false accusation becomes a record of their corruption. And while they're too blinded by pride to notice, the case against them grows thicker, heavier, undeniable. The more they persist, the more damning the evidence becomes. And here's the irony. They thought you were the one under the microscope. For years they watched you, waiting for you to slip. They studied your steps, poked at your flaws, magnified your mistakes. But while they believed they were gathering dirt on you, the dirt was gathering on them. Every time they pointed a finger, the spotlight turned back and revealed their own filth. In trying to destroy you, they've been documenting their own downfall. That's why their lives feel like they're unraveling. Partnerships crumble, opportunities evaporate, secrets spill at the worst possible time. None of it is random. It's accountability unfolding in real time. They aren't just losing, you're watching them lose with receipts stamped all over their failures. And when the reckoning arrives, chosen one, it won't be a mystery. They'll see too late that they were never hunting you. They were building the very case that will bring themselves down. Number 10. When their circle turns into a cage of paranoia. The fastest way to destroy an army isn't to fight it head-on. It's to make its soldiers turn their weapons on each other. Chosen one, here's the brutal truth. What once looked like a solid wall of enemies united against you is now cracking from the inside. You are the reason powerful people are suddenly turning on each other. The alliances they swore would overwhelm you are collapsing into suspicion, paranoia, and betrayal. They thought their collective power made you vulnerable, but your shield doesn't just block their attacks. It poisons their unity and flips it into chaos. Imagine this for a moment. A table full of conspirators sits in a smoke-filled room, glasses raised, all nodding in agreement. But as the night drags on, eyes begin to dart sideways, smiles tighten, doubts creep in. Someone starts to wonder who in this room is already leaking, who's protecting them in secret. That's the brilliance of the protection around you. It doesn't just dismantle the plot, it dismantles the plotters. Unity without trust isn't unity. It's a ticking bomb. The whispers begin, old grudges resurface. Paranoia eats away at loyalty. They second-guess motives, question commitment, and quietly accuse one another of betrayal. Even without proof, suspicion is enough to fracture the bond. And the more they come against you, the more they fight each other. That's why their schemes don't last long. They look coordinated for a moment, but cracks appear faster than they can patch them. An enemy divided is already defeated. One gets greedy, another grows impatient, another suddenly questions the entire plan. And just like that, the alliance that was supposed to crush you begins to rot from the inside out. Their downfall is humiliating because they can't point the finger at you. You never infiltrated their meetings, never planted spies, never manipulated their emotions. They did it to themselves. Their collapse is self-inflicted, triggered by a law they don't understand but can't outrun. Here's the sting that keeps them awake at night. Deep down, they know not everyone around them hates you as much as they do. Some secretly admire you, some quietly respect you, and some are already weighing the cost of betraying the group to shield you. That possibility alone is enough to keep them restless, divided, and paranoid. They thought strength was in their numbers, but against you, numbers only multiply their chaos. So instead of unity crushing you, your very presence fractures their alliances. By the time they realize what's happening, their once strong circle is nothing but fragments, each enemy too busy watching their back to remember why they came after you in the first place. Number 11. When their blueprints collapse before they're built. The cruelest defeat isn't watching your plan fail, it's watching it die before it ever leaves the page. Chosen one, this is where the frustration of your enemies reaches its peak. It's not just that you survive attacks, it's that so many of their attacks never even launch. They spend nights and days sketching elaborate blueprints, thinking they finally cornered you. But just when it looks ready, the structure caves in on itself. Their allies back out, their funding dries up, their so-called perfect timing falls apart. To them, it feels like someone tampered with their design, and that's exactly what's happening. Your enemies don't lose in battle, they lose in planning. Now imagine this, a group of architects sit hunched over a table, drawing plans for a tower. They smile, convinced it's flawless. But overnight, the blueprints erase themselves, measurements vanish, angles distort. By morning, the design is useless. That's what your enemies are experiencing. The unseen protection around you doesn't just block attacks when they arrive, it edits them before they ever leave the drafting stage. They wake up with the same hatred, but without the same opportunity. They try to gather allies, but someone drops out at the last second. They plan a trap, but the ground shifts beneath it before it's laid. They coordinate moves, but miscommunication tears the plan apart. Over and over, the same bad luck hits them until it's undeniable. Their efforts are being rewritten by a force greater than them. The universe doesn't wait for weapons to launch. It dismantles them while they're still being forged. This is why so many of your enemies look paranoid and drained. They call it misfortune, they call it coincidence, but the repetition is too sharp to ignore. They can't admit it out loud, but they know their blueprints don't belong to them anymore. No matter how carefully they draft, the final draft is out of their control. And the irony, you often don't even know how close those weapons came to being aimed. You walk forward untouched, unaware of how many traps dissolved before they could reach you. That humiliation burns them. Not only are they wasting energy, but each failure proves they're not the ones writing the story. Someone or something keeps pulling the rug from under them. And nothing is more brutal than realizing their grand plans are doomed to die in the womb, never allowed to breathe air, never allowed to touch you. Number 12. Positioned, not just protected. The strongest defense isn't a wall, it's a hand that moves you exactly where you need to be before the strike even lands. Chosen one, this is the part your enemies will never understand. You're not just being protected, you're being positioned. Ordinary protection would keep you alive, but what surrounds you doesn't stop at survival. Your shield is more than a barrier. It's a guide. Allies in high places aren't only blocking attacks, they're maneuvering the board so you end up exactly where you're meant to be. Opportunities appear right when you need them, as if they fell from the sky. People who once opposed you stumble in ways that push you forward. Doors that seemed bolted shut swing open at the exact moment you arrive. None of this is random. What looks like coincidence is strategy. Every shift, every twist of timing is a deliberate alignment, ensuring you're not just safe, you're advancing. Luck is just the name enemies give to precision they can't explain. Now imagine this, a chessboard full of players, each move carefully plotted. Your enemies think they're cornering your king, but what they don't realize is that every time they move, the board itself rearranges. Their knight trips, their bishop falls, and suddenly you're not just surviving, you're winning. That's your life right now. You're being strategically placed while they exhaust themselves chasing a game that no longer plays by their rules. What unsettles them most is the precision. Every setback they suffer seems timed to your advantage. Every door that closes in their face swings open in yours. They're left asking, how do they keep gaining ground? How do opportunities keep finding them? The answer burns them. You're not walking blind. You're being guided step by step, placed exactly where your presence will multiply. You're not moving by chance. You're moving by design. This is directional protection. It doesn't just shield you, it propels you. It doesn't just block their schemes, it flips their failures into your momentum. And that's why their frustration cuts so deep. They can't stop what they can't track. They can't anticipate what isn't bound by logic. The very forces they trusted to control outcomes are now steering events in your favor. So remember this, chosen one, you're not just surviving, you're advancing. Your enemies fight to hold ground while you keep gaining it, because your shield is also your compass. Every coincidence, every open door, every redirected blow is positioning you for victories they'll never see coming. Number 13. What they truly fear is what you could unleash. The most dangerous weapon isn't the one aimed. It's the one waiting to be unleashed if touched. Chosen one, your enemies don't just fear your losses, they fear your release. They look at you and see someone holding back a force they can't quantify. The energy you carry isn't just personal, it radiates outward, touching every system, every plan, every life connected to those who stand against you. If harm were to reach you, that energy wouldn't vanish quietly. It would detonate, ricocheting through their structures, collapsing strategies, and igniting chaos they could never control. That's why your protection isn't pity, it's containment. Imagine this, a dam holds back millions of gallons of water. From the outside it looks calm, steady, unmoving, but everyone knows that if the wall cracks, the flood will swallow everything in its path. That's you. Your resilience is the dam. You don't just stand for yourself, you stabilize everything around you. Enemies plotting against you aren't targeting one individual. They're testing the limits of a system connected to your endurance. And the universe ensures that dam doesn't break. Not for their satisfaction, not for their schemes. Your strength doesn't just defend, it prevents storms from forming prematurely. This is what unnerves them. They know if you are pushed too far, consequences will ripple in ways no one can predict. Not just material loss, but exposure of secrets, collapse of alliances, unraveling of power. Betrayals would backfire. Lies would consume their authors. Manipulations would spiral into disasters beyond their control. And they feel it in their bones, that tampering with you carries a price they cannot afford. So while they posture, while they whisper, while they imagine they've cornered you, a silent restraint grips them. They tread carefully, not out of respect, but out of dread, because every failed attack teaches them the same brutal lesson. Your energy is not just protection, it's a weapon waiting for release. And the last thing they want is to be standing closest when that eruption comes. The irony, the ones trying to break you are the very ones terrified of what your breaking would unleash. That's why you remain untouchable. Your enemies aren't just losing, they're bound by the fear of fallout they can't measure. Your resilience contains chaos too dangerous to release. And the universe ensures that what could destroy them stays locked within you, shielding you, burning them, and reminding them with every failure that they're dancing on the edge of a storm they will never survive. Number 14. When loyalty has no price tag. The rarest kind of power is when people move for you without needing a reason, a deal, or a debt. Chosen one, this is what makes your protection so unsettling to your enemies. Your allies don't owe you anything, yet they move as if they do. They aren't bound by contracts. They aren't pushed by bribes, favors, or obligations. No one coerced them into action. And yet, when the moment arrives, they act. They intervene. They cover you in ways that defy logic, as if pulled by a current they themselves cannot explain. The most unnerving protection is the kind that cannot be bought, bargained with, or broken. Your enemies can't understand it because they live in a world of transactions. To them, everyone has a price. Every alliance can be bought. Every loyalty can be corrupted. That's why your shield confuses them. It doesn't play by their rules. The people standing behind you aren't there because of ego, politics, or ambition. They're there because something higher, something invisible, compels them to move on your behalf. They can't even fully articulate why, but when the moment comes, they show up. Now imagine this. A soldier hears a call that no one else hears. Without orders, without reason, he turns and shields someone he's never met. Later, when asked why, he has no explanation. He just knew he had to move. That's what's happening with your allies. They're pulled by a design greater than themselves, guided to cover you at the exact time, in the exact way you need it. Luck fades, coincidence stumbles, but orchestration never misses its cue. And this isn't random. It's not occasional luck that saves you once in a while. It's consistent, precise, deliberate. Every key move, every timely intervention, every unexpected shift in your favor is part of a larger orchestration your enemies cannot trace or predict. That's why they grow desperate. They can see the results. They just can't explain the cause. Here's the irony. They assume you're the one manipulating alliances, pulling strings behind the scenes. But the truth burns them. These alliances exist not because of your effort, but because the forces surrounding you recognize your value and enforce it. Your allies move as if indebted, but they aren't paying back a favor. They're acting as instruments of a design that refuses to let you fall. Protection that doesn't depend on loyalty can't be corrupted, and that's what makes it untouchable. Your enemies are left baffled, raging against a system they can't buy, threaten, or infiltrate. You're not merely surviving, you're being orchestrated, shielded, and positioned by forces beyond their comprehension. And that's why, no matter how hard they try, they'll never be able to rewrite your fate. And so, chosen one, you see the truth. Every failed plot, every collapsing alliance, every invisible shield wasn't random. It was proof that you're not just protected. You're positioned, untouchable, and surrounded by allies. Your enemies will never understand. Their frustration is the confirmation of your elevation, and their collapse is the evidence of your shield. And thank you, chosen one, for staying with me until the end. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more, drop the number 777 in the comments to claim this message, and share it with others so the light spreads further.